GM transmission problems in 2024 and 2025 model trucks are now among the most documented complaints in the Federal Vehicle Safety Database, and they share a pattern with Ford and Ram transmission complaints filed inside the same model year window. Not similar problems, the same documented failure signature across 3 separate engineering organizations in overlapping production years. The number of NHTSA filings across these 3 platforms is not the story. What those filings reveal about why this is happening and what it means for your truck right now, before any warning light appears, that is the story. And here is the part that should make you uncomfortable. This was not a random manufacturing defect. The root caused traces to a decision, one that all 3 manufacturers made, in the same direction, at roughly the same time. If you own a GM, Ford, or Ram truck from the 2021 through 2024 model years, the question sitting underneath every mile you drive is this: does your transmission already have the early signs of this failure, and are you in the window where it is still manageable or past it? You probably drove that truck off the lot feeling like you made a solid call. The tow ratings checked out. The powertrain warranty was in writing. If you have already felt something, a light shudder between 40 and 50 miles per hour, a harsh upshift from first to second that comes and goes, something the dealer told you was within normal parameters, then you are not imagining it, and you are not alone. Some of those owners who accepted that answer came back months later with repair estimates that cleared $5,000. This video is for the people who want to understand what is actually happening before they end up in that conversation. What federal complaint records show across these platforms concentrate specifically around 2 transmission families: the 10-speed automatic deployed across GM and Ford truck lines, and the 8-speed automatic found in Ram trucks. Within those units, complaint density reported in NHTSA filings is disproportionately high in certain powertrain combinations. The 5.3-liter V8 paired with the 10-speed in GM trucks and the 2.7-liter EcoBoost turbocharged 4-cylinder paired with the 10-speed in F-150 applications. If your truck carries one of those combinations, this conversation belongs to you more precisely than it belongs to the average viewer of this video. That is worth writing down before you continue. The failure signature is consistent across filings: a rhythmic shudder at light throttle, typically between 40 and 50 miles per hour, inconsistent from one drive to the next, disappearing at higher speeds. First dealer response, documented across reported cases, is typically a software calibration update, a transmission fluid service, or both. Here is what the aggregate of those cases shows about that response. In a documented share of them, the shudder returns. 3 manufacturers, 3 engineering teams, 1 repair path, and a re-failure rate that the service counter will not quote you before you authorize the work. To understand why the repair fails, you need to understand what is actually failing, and the mechanism is more specific than transmission problems. Think of the torque converter clutch the way you think of a brake pad wear indicator. That indicator is not an early warning system. It is a late-stage signal, engineered to make noise after most of the usable pad life is already gone. By the time the noise starts, the decision window has narrowed. The shudder in these transmissions works the same way. By the time it is noticeable and repeatable, the torque converter clutch material has been degrading through a wear pattern that started well before the symptom appeared. The shudder is not the beginning of the problem. It is the signal that the lower-cost intervention window is closing. And the calibration that produced this wear pattern was not an accident. The torque converter clutch engagement behavior in these 10-speed and 8-speed units was designed to be aggressive, locking up earlier and staying locked longer under light throttle loads than previous generation transmissions. That calibration produces measurably better fuel efficiency at highway speeds. And fuel efficiency at highway speeds matters enormously when a manufacturer is engineering a platform toward federal CAFE standards, the corporate average fuel economy regulations that determine compliance costs and fleet-wide penalties. The friction material in these clutches was not designed to fail, but aggressive early lockup, repeated across tens of thousands of light throttle drive cycles, produces surface wear patterns that older, less aggressive calibrations did not generate at the same rate. This is not a conspiracy. It is documented regulatory economics. 3 manufacturers made the same calibration decision because they faced the same regulatory incentive. The transmission did not fail in spite of the engineering. It failed in part because of it. Here is something most truck owners have never been told exists. A technical service bulletin is not a recall. It is a document the manufacturer issues directly to dealerships, acknowledging a known condition and specifying a repair procedure. It does not trigger a mandatory fix. It does not require the manufacturer to notify you that it exists. But it matters, because if a TSB has been issued covering your specific symptom on your specific VIN, the manufacturer has formally and in writing acknowledged that the condition is real. That changes the conversation. It changes what you can request. It changes whether a repair that fails inside your warranty window is your expense or the manufacturer's. Most owners never ask for a TSB list before they authorize service. Most dealers do not volunteer one. Now here is the part about the repair itself, and this is the section worth forwarding to anyone you know who owns one of these trucks. Some owners report the shudder appeared first after a towing trip, not during it, but on the next cold start, somewhere between 40 and 50 miles per hour on the way to work. Others report it began with no towing history. That split in the reported data is meaningful because it tells you the failure progression is not uniform. What is consistent is this: a portion of owners report that the fluid service, performed using a product that technically met the manufacturer's published specification, did not resolve the shudder. Some report the shudder returned within a few thousand miles. A documented subset report it became noticeably worse in the days immediately following the service. That last pattern has a specific explanation. A transmission fluid can meet the manufacturer's published specification on paper while lacking the precise friction modifier package these torque converter clutch surfaces require. The difference is not always visible on the product label. The technician performing your service may not know to check for it. And if the wrong fluid is used, even a fluid that meets the stated spec, the re-failure clock restarts from zero. The cost differential between catching this at the early symptom stage and waiting until the failure progresses is documented in service records as a significant multiple. At the shudder stage, the intervention is typically fluid, software calibration update, and where applicable a friction modifier additive, in many reported cases under $1,000, and potentially covered under warranty or manufacturer goodwill policy if the right documentation exists. At the advanced failure stage, you are looking at torque converter replacement, possible transmission rebuild, and repair estimates documented in owner complaints that routinely exceed $5,000, with no warranty obligation remaining if coverage has lapsed. That gap exists because this failure is progressive, not sudden. The window where the lower-cost fix is available is the same window where the symptom is easiest to rationalize away. Here is what you can do right now, before you set foot in any service department. Request a written list of all active technical service bulletins for your VIN by bulletin number, not by description. Your dealership's service department has access to this list. If a TSB exists covering your symptom, that document shifts the negotiation before it starts. The dealer cannot characterize your condition as outside normal parameters if the manufacturer has already issued formal documentation acknowledging it. Do not skip this step. Owners who skip it regularly pay out of pocket for repairs covered under existing policy. Before you authorize any transmission fluid service, ask the technician to specify the exact product they intend to use, brand, viscosity grade, and friction modifier content, not simply that it meets ohm specification. If the shop allows written confirmation, request it. The gap between a specification-compliant fluid and the correct friction modifier package for these specific clutch surfaces is not a minor variable. Multiple reported refailure cases in documented owner complaint filings trace to this exact point. And know your threshold. A light, rhythmic shudder between 40 and 50 miles per hour, under light throttle, inconsistent between drives, disappearing at highway speed, that is your early window. That is when the intervention is still a manageable conversation. If that description matches what you have already felt, the time to act is before your next long drive, not after it. 3 brands made the same regulatory calculation, The failure that followed was predictable. What happens next in your specific case is still in your hands. The data was always there. Now so are you.